So when it comes to chase sequences in movies and TV shows, we've had a lot of them, from car chases to motorcycles, airplanes, jets, spaceships, and it's always cool to see those moments with high intensity and obstacles for our rider or driver to actually get through. And in this video, in this instance, I'm talking about the coolest motorcycle scenes in movies. And for this first video, let's just start with 8 of them. And we're starting off with Captain America Civil War, the chase sequence between Bucky, Captain America, and Black Panther. It may be the shortest one on this list, but how the whole scene comes about and the sequence in it and everything that is going on, I had to put it on this list just based on the cool factor. Now in this scene, Bucky is on the run from being accused of killing Black Panther, T'Challa's father, but you have his best friend, Captain America, Steve Rogers, who's trying to help him. But Black Panther is on his tail to exact his vengeance. It starts off with Bucky jumping off a roof to a little mini fight between him and Black Panther until he finally escapes and gets onto a road, and with a motorcycle coming his way, what does he do? Like, this is one of the most insane and coolest way to take a motorcycle, hijack a motorcycle from someone. And then with him riding off, you have Black Panther and Captain America on his tail, both running at superhuman speed, passing by cars. Just the overall sequence and rawness, and also superhuman. The shots just make these characters, appear on screen. It just makes the whole scene fantastic. At number 7, we have the chase sequence in Terminator Judgment Day, where you have the T-1000 after John Connor and the Terminator sent to protect him. It starts off with John Connor himself on his motorcycle, blasting off, trying to get away from this man, this dude who's trying to get him. He doesn't know what is going on, but the whole chase sequence just felt pure and also scary as well, as the T-1000 in an 18-wheeler tries to smoosh John Connor, and then comes in the Terminator with his Harley Davidson fat boy and a shotgun, grabbing John Connor onto his motorcycle and blasting off. And that's where everything changes into a new gear, with the T-1000 hot on their tails and he blasting off his shotgun, with the 18-wheeler also close by, not relenting at all, and everything culminates into a big fiery explosion at the end. This is one of the most iconic chase sequences in movie history, and it will remain so for most of it being practical and being unique at the time, and of course still holding up today, just being a timeless classic. Next, at number 5, we have the Trinity bike chase in The Matrix Reloaded. After the first successful Matrix movie, they crafted a new one, a sequel which lived up to the hype. And in this sequence, we have Trinity trying to save the Keymaker to keep the prophecy alive about Neo and everything. It starts off with a car chase, which was all crazy in its own right, with speed and intensity, as you had the agents after them and the twin ghost also in pursuit. And there was even a crazy hand-to-hand fight sequence in the car before the car got destroyed, and then they had to take another ride, and that's when Trinity took the Keymaker. They jumped on a freaking truck with so many motorcycles on there, and they chose the Bugatti 996. And the sequence starts off with Trinity freaking driving the motorcycle off the truck from the front, and then they start off with this speed, high, intense chase with the agents shooting and Trinity dodging cars left and right. And then when you think that things couldn't go any crazier, she freaking turns around and goes in the opposite direction, with all the vehicles now coming directly at her, and she's weaving and dodging every single one of them. Yeah, sure, you can tell that he's obviously behind a green screen somewhere and all that, but that doesn't make it less exciting and less freaking epic. At number 6, we have Catwoman's bike scenes, the bad pod scenes in The Dark Knight Rises. We all know that the Dark Knight trilogy is one of the best movies of all time. And in this third movie, you have Catwoman introduced, played by Anne Hathaway, who in this sequence, you have her and the Bat chasing after Talia al Ghul, who's driving a truck with an atomic bomb inside, which could cause, devastating, immeasurable destruction on the city. And they also have to contend with the Batmobiles, which have been stolen from Wayne Tech. And so you have Anne Hathaway's Catwoman riding the Batpod with this unique twist of turning, and like the whole machinery of the Batpod feels like its own entity, and sometimes a cyborg with how it turns and twists. The whole sequence was pretty great in how the Bat took to the skies, fighting off missiles and all that, and you have Catwoman on the streets taking down some of the Batmobiles. And plus, Anne Hathaway does look good on the Batpod. We have Mission Impossible 4's bike chase scene with Ethan Hunt. Tom Cruise loves motorcycles and loves to ride. Now the chase scene starts off with Ilsa, who assists Ethan in actually breaking into the Syndicate base in Morocco, and that is when they retrieve a special ledger. But everyone knew that she was going to betray him at some point, and she does so and then flees on a motorcycle. And that is when Ethan also chases after her. And then first it was a car chase, them speeding past everything, and their car is crashed and flipped over. Ethan, being as persistent as ever, gets on a motorcycle and follows her, which results in this epic freaking chase along the highway. It truly felt like a Grand Prix, freaking blasting through everything at an insane amount of speed. And even though he crashes at the end, because of Ilsa using herself as a shield, and we all know that Ethan has some sort of feelings towards her at this point in the movie, but it still doesn't change how freaking insane this scene was, especially when you freaking know that Tom Cruise actually did the stunt himself. At number 3, we have the chase scene between Brixton and Hobbs and Shaw in the same name, Hobbs and Shaw, the spin-off of the Fast and Furious franchise. Now, this sequence and all these motorcycle scenes that Brixton has in this movie is truly insane. Like, every time Idris Elba's character hops on his motorcycle, it's going to be freaking epic. So in this spin-off, you have Hobbs and Shaw on the run alongside Haiti, Shaw's sister, who Brixton is after due to her injecting a very dangerous compound that his employer is after for world domination and all this yabba yabba yabba. But we are not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the chase sequences, and it's not even only one in this movie. The first one is Hobbs and Shaw being chased by Brixton in the city, and you get this epic driving sequence, as we all know the Fast and Furious franchise with the insane speeds and drifting and doing just this ridiculous stuff among all these busy areas with cars and all that. And you have Brixton with his motorcycle, which is not even a cyborg as I compared to the Batpod in the Dark Knight part. This is a freaking transformer. He can squeeze it in tight spaces, freaking going through undercars, and even the way he even gets on his motorcycle, everything just feels superhuman. Maybe also because he's a genetically enhanced human being. But every time that he gets on a motorcycle, everything goes from 50 to 1000. At the second spot, we have the chase scene in Night and Day with Roy and June, played by Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. And in this movie, Tom Cruise once again plays a spy, and the entire movie is just filled with crazy stunts and just insane moments, from funny to intense. And in this scene we have the bike chase scene, which is one of the highlights of this movie, and it goes insane with the things that they had to do on this cycle, from driving in populated areas, going between people, trains even, and freaking stampeding bulls. And one insane stunt even has Cameron Diaz moving over around the bike while the bike is in motion, just to come face to face with Tom Cruise, with the bad guys chasing them and shooting as well. Like, this was totally insane in how they achieved this level of stunt and at that level of control. And you also know that, come on, Tom Cruise at least did 90% or at least close to that, no doubt. And it's what makes this scene and every chase scene that is involved in even more epic, because you know he actually does it.
Take the guns.
Okay.
Here.
Whoa. What next?
Let him have it.
And at number 1, we have the bike chase scene in Tomorrow Never Dies, the James Bond movie featuring Pierce Brosnan as James Bond and Michelle Yeoh as Wileen. Now, we've had a number of chase sequences in the James Bond movie, but this was freaking unique, intense, and insane all in one. You start off with, our heroes, these two characters, James and Wileen, handcuffed together, this time starting off with a predicament where they also have to get away from the bad guys. They get on a motorcycle but find it hard to steer because of, the handcuff situation, but then devise a plan where one will control the throttle and the brake on the other hand, and the other will also control the clutch. And that was just a great solution, but easily said than done. But they managed to make it work. There was even a stunt where Wileen had to come in front of James Bond, a stunt that I think that inspired Night and Day, which I previously mentioned on the list. They are able to drive through crowds, go through rooftop in this crowded area, this crowded scenario that they are thrust in, with hundreds of bullets flying across them, with the bad guys after them, avoiding hitting pedestrians. Like, they were just going through one insane scenario to the other. Now, the biggest obstacle that they had to face was a helicopter that was in their way, with them on the rooftop, where they didn't even let that slow them down, as they just went full speed and jumped over the helicopter, crashing down the roof of a building, still intact, no problem at all. This is just a day in the life of James Bond. Like, how truly insane was this stunt, as it was practical, at least half of it was. And in the end, they were even able to take down the helicopter. Like, truly crazy. Now, that's pretty much it for the insane epic bike sequences in movies. As you can tell, each scenario, each scene in this list had their own unique way of storytelling in their chase sequence, whether it be the intensity, the speed, the obstacles that they had to face, and of course adding their own cool factor to it. Now, do let me know in the comments below what you thought of all these sequences, and I plan on making a part 2, maybe part 3 if this video does well, and if you guys would like to, and maybe other chase sequences involving the air, planes and jets and all that stuff, and maybe cars. And I also have a video on the evolution of speed, that is super speed, and also flying as well. So I hope you check those videos out. It does help the channel out. Please leave a like for this one if you did enjoy it, and subscribe and turn on that post notification bell not to miss any new video as well. As always, Neri Sage here. See you guys in the next one.
Don't get any ideas.
I'd never dream of it.